What is going on, Sabres fans, and welcome to another episode of the Sabres Spotlight podcast, where we shine a light on all things Sabres hockey. Ryan, what's going on?
Not a whole lot, man. I'm ready to get back behind the mic and talk some Sabres hockey. How about you?
You know we took off last week because we had the two losses, and
Yeah, we
we're
wanted
gonna
to skip it.
record on
We
the wins.
we got a reputation for being too positive, even though we're consistently an 80-point team. So now we get to put on our rose-colored glasses after some wins, and it feels good.
I can't remember the actual reason why we didn't record last week, though. There was a reason. Was it just schedules or what?
Maybe, but I
Yeah.
still don't understand time because Quinn's 5 weeks old, so I don't really know what day or time it is, like at all, ever. So maybe that had something to do with it. But no, we're back now, and that's all that matters.
It is funny though. It is funny though that like if we recorded last week, the show would have sounded a whole lot different than it will this week because we had a good week where we won 3 games in a row, and now we're obviously heading to the playoffs this season, and the Sabres are going to dummy everybody that they come up against. But
Yes, we will. Yes, we will.
they're about to go Winnipeg Jet mode the next few weeks
No,
here. So
the Jets, dude. Okay, let's just like talk about them for a second. They're
yeah,
14-1. That's
yeah,
insane.
it is
And I was
crazy.
looking, I was watching a couple of their games and stuff. Like, yeah, they're playing really well, and like their guys are playing well. Ehlers is not playing well, like specifically. He kind of looks terrible. But Hellebuck, dude, is locked in. Did you see they played Dallas last night and won, obviously? Did you see what the crowd was chanting at Jake Ottinger last night?
Yeah, I saw they were chanting what like U.S. backup.
Yeah, because Hellebuck will be the starter probably. Chanting U.S. backup is hilarious. That's an A+ chant.
That is a good troll. That is a good troll for sure. But yeah, we haven't really done much around the league because we've been hopping right into the series. But we will. I feel like there hasn't been any like major storylines, anyways, besides the Jets who are off to a Torres start. But we'll get into the Sabres. I think we're going to focus on the games this week. Everyone knows we had a couple like 1-goal losses last week, a 4-3 loss to the Islanders, and then a 2-1 loss to Detroit, which kind of spurred some of the lineup changes that we're going to get into a little bit more today on this podcast, and that seems to have had a positive effect on the team. But a couple tough losses last week, and you could tell the Sabrehood was a little bit, by that time you're 4-7-1, so you got to figure out what you're going to do because you can't afford to drop too many more games. The Sabres do respond with their second, already third, 3-game winning streak of the season and climb back to 7-7-1 with the games this week. But I guess before we get into the results of the wins from this week, anything that you specifically wanted to note about the losses there to the Islanders and Detroit before we focus on this week's games?
I like we just discussed a little bit before we hit record here. I memory hold that Islanders game. I don't even know what happened in this game. I'm sure if you start talking about it, because I know you know, I'm like lost. It was very frustrating, though. I will say that we had a 3-game win streak and then followed that up with an immediate 3-game losing streak. Like, you're so right. We had to come back in like a big way with these wins. But tell me more about the Islanders game specifically, because I honestly, I'm looking at the notes you have for this game, and if someone gave me a piece of paper with a different set of notes for this game, I would have believed you.
Yeah, the Islanders game was just one of those games where kind of like a typical game versus the Islanders where like we just weren't generating a lot of like offensive chances. And then Levi struggled in this game a little bit as well. And he stopped 32 of 36 for an 889, but it was just one of those games where they couldn't generate a lot and you could just kind of feel that it was coming. And Sorokin was in net for the Islanders, and he did play good. And so it's just, again, for me, I remember watching this game and just being like, Sorokin's playing good. You're not generating a lot of offense. It's probably going to be a game you don't come back on. And they didn't seem to have a lot of juice in this game as well. I made a note here about Jason Zucker fighting Wallstrom at the towards the end of the second period, which I loved, and I was kind of hoping that I remember that play specifically because, again, one of those games where we seemed to be dragging a little bit, intensity was down and their system was kind of shutting us down. And then Zucker gets into this fight, which was kind of out of nowhere. I don't actually remember like the exact player incident that sparked it, but you could tell what Zucker was doing, trying to get the boys going, and he actually skated to the bench after the fight. Being towards the end of the period, he just went to the locker room right away. So as he's skating towards the bench, he gives the like the arms up, like the let's go, trying to get the crowd going and trying to get the Sabres bench going and things. And it didn't really amount to anything after that. But just a frustrating game against the Islanders. I feel like all Islanders losses are the same. Like they just kind of feel the same way each time.
Oh, they were missing Barzal for this game too, weren't they? And we lost.
Yeah,
I
because
think
he
they're
was
missing
hurt,
Barzal. Yep. Oh,
and
that's so
he
frustrating.
that news broke like shortly before the game. Like he had to go back home for, or he I think he was planning to play, and then something happened where like he wasn't feeling 100%, so he left the team early to go home and get checked out and things. So yeah, they weren't at 100%, and we still couldn't really capitalize on everything. Gilbert, Kulik, and Bryson were the scratches in that game. I did not watch the Detroit game, but I know
Okay.
that's the one that you watched, and it seemed
Yep.
like kind of a lot of the same in there.
Well, this game to me, we're gonna jump into that one now. It really felt like it was very similar to the latest game against Calgary, except we only scored one goal in that game. Like for the first half, we were all over them. Like it was insane. Like we were playing Detroit out of the building pretty much, and then like slowly but surely over the course of the second period and third period, they kind of just found their game and took it to us a little bit. And I specifically remember we had like multiple chances to score. Like Cousins had the puck on his stick, and I think two or three like grade A's, and it's like oh, you're just if you bury one and push it to OT, then that would be perfect. But they really just couldn't get it done in this game, and they kind of fell off like after like the 10-minute mark of the second period. Like it was insane. It was like a tale of two games basically all wrapped into one. And it was just so frustrating because how I feel about this Detroit team. I think they're really bad. Like
They're
they're
not
deep,
good.
slow. They have one line of scorers. I mean, their second line is geriatric. It's not a good team, and we just really failed to capitalize against them. But now we get to talk about the fun stuff.
Yeah, but real quick before we get into the wins, I remember, like I said, I didn't watch this game because this was a Saturday game, and it was just I think it was an afternoon game. I think it was in the afternoon, which is why I couldn't get
Yep.
to it. But I do remember special teams being the main reason why we couldn't get things done. And the power play was 0 for 2 in that game, and the penalty kill was only 2 for 4. So both of Detroit's goals came off the power play. And for as bad as Detroit is, they actually have like a decent power play,
Yeah.
but you just can't give those teams chances. Like you hold them to 2 goals. That's not bad. A lot of times, if you hold a team to 2 goals, you're gonna win the game. And it seemed like UPL played decent in that game, but a lot of the
He
sentiment I
did.
remember just scrolling Twitter afterwards was that just a game where special teams cost them in this game.
Yeah. Cam Talbot was really good for Detroit in like certain aspects of the game. Like they were like the grade A chances we had, he stoned us multiple times. So props to him for sealing the win for them, and then they really played well enough to win, and it would have been nice to steal like a loser point at least out of that one.
Well, let's get into the wins here because we got this week coming up here, and again, this was a nice week for the Sabres. The Sabres respond, and you start to see something we're going to talk about a little bit later as far as the accountability aspect of things with Lindy Ruff and this team this year. You start to see some lineup changes heading into this week. So the main line is kind of restored. Prior to this, things were jumping around a little bit. Zucker was up on the top line, and then Krebs and Quinn. So some things were moving around a little bit, but you get line one back. You get Benson coming back to restore the new kid line. So you get Benson, Cousins, and Quinn, which is a line that's been playing good, and you get the big scratches. The big changes come on defense. This is the first game Yoki Haru scratched. Samuelson is scratched. So you get two of your main defenders that are making what Yoki's making like 3.2 and Samuelson's making like 4.2. So you got some money sitting up in the press box, but Lindy gave them, whatever, 12 games to show what they got, and everyone's been talking about how much Samuelson has really been struggling with things, and I haven't been a big fan of Yoki Haru. I feel like you really aren't as well either. We're
Nope.
not super high on him over at Sabres Spotlight, but you get both of them sitting on the bench, Darlene and Byram, the top pair, Bryson on the second defense pair with Power, and then the last line of Gilbert and Clifton. And it seems like, at least for this first game against Ottawa, that the team responded well to that.
Yeah, they did, dude. And I gotta give some props to Bowen Byram this week because not only is he getting the points, he looks really, really good with Darlene. Like I think finally, like you know how we the reason we don't like Yokiharu is because he plays with Darlene, and literally he's Darlene is the only player that he's ever looked like semi competent with. But even then, Darlene doesn't activate offensively because Yokiharu is doing dumb shit in the offensive zone, and Darlene has to cover for him. With with Poland Byram, it's completely different. I feel like they're relying more on Darlene's defense in the defensive zone and Darlene carrying the puck and passing the puck out. But when it comes to the offensive zone, I don't feel like offense will die on Byram's stick the way it does on Yoki Haru's, and that allows Darlene to like roam the offensive zone a little bit more, and it's really working out.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. The team, I think, is also those two are. I mean, their skill sets are very similar. Darlene's, of course, like a step ahead with just his overall skills, but like they can play the game the same type of way, which is good. So you have two kind of interchangeable pieces. I also feel like, and I don't know if you feel the same way, that the team's gonna be have to adjust and learn Lindy's style, of course. So that's gonna take some time. So you can expect some speed bumps there. But it seems like the forwards have been able to pick up that defensive play a little bit more. So like if Power down whoever's on the defensive pair is activating and they're getting in on the play, then that who's ever there forward wise has to be able to come back defensively and recognize that defenseman's going down low and fill that spot. And I think this week that's been happening much more frequently and seamlessly.
Yeah, I would agree. I feel like the forward we're just faster. We're faster to pucks. We make faster decisions, and that's Lindy's influence right there. And it's very exciting to see that because for a while, besides like Cousins and Quinn kind of struggling for the early part of this season, and Benson being hurt, I don't really have a problem with any of the forwards.
No. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, Cousins and Quinn are the two that are struggling, but the fourth line is the fourth line. The top line is insane. It has been playing good. I mean,
Dude, it's
Thompson and
legitimately it's legitimately one of the best lines in the league. It's incredible.
I still think there's a little meat on the bone with Tuck. I like the way that Tuck has been playing, but I don't know. It just seems like to me there's just still a little bit there that we can get from him, but because you know what you're getting out of Tage, he's healthy, and Paterka's been great. Tuck seems to be the one that's a little bit kind of on and off throughout the night, but he does what he does good, and sometimes he's not going to be maybe as active offensively, but he does what he does good out there. But yeah, this
This game,
game,
yeah,
yeah,
go
go
ahead.
ahead.
Oh, it's so funny when we do that. So dude, this game was incredible. Like from the puck drop, I feel like we were throwing the body around. Like you could see, like they were pissed about the three game losing streak. They were like, not this isn't happening tonight. We're dumping the puck in. We're gonna bang bodies. I mean, we had a fight. Greenway and Kachuk went at it. I feel like Matthew or Brady Kachuk might be like the biggest baby in the league. Like when Ottawa's losing, I don't understand this guy. Like he cannot handle losing at the NHL level. Like every time, if I'll text you, I'll be having the Ottawa game on, and I'm like, oh, Ottawa's losing, and Brady Kachuk's losing his mind again. And this happened in this game, dude. Like I don't. This
He's
guy
gonna
is
be
an
going crazy there. It's gonna start
this is
spiraling there in Ottawa soon too, and he's gonna just be like, "I gotta get out of here, man."
dude. This might be like their Eichel year, like the
It
year
could
like
be.
we're trying to run it back, and we're trying to make the playoffs, and it's been so long, and our star player has 1 year left. Well, no, he's on a long term deal. Our star player has 1 year left until he's like trade me, or I'm not playing, and gives them some kind of ultimatum. And this might be the year for them. And oh boy, I know I just said he's a baby and all that, but I'd kill for him on our team.
Oh yeah, for sure. What I liked about this Ottawa game, and with us having the hindsight of knowing what happened the next two games, you can see the start of it here. When you talk about this is where I think the Lindy Ruff effect is important because when you look at what cost us in the loss in Detroit, UPL or not UPL. UPL hasn't been playing his best hockey up until that point. He's been inconsistent, but special teams and intensity, right? So what does Lindy do? He addresses that in the post game conference. He calls out the goaltending in his post
Yeah,
game
that was
conference
that was awesome.
and says we need to get more saves. But then he also talks about special teams and the need for more urgency and physicality. That next game is this game against Ottawa. Like you said, they come out from puck drop and they're ready to go. They're banging bodies. Greenway fights Kachuk right in the beginning of the game, and they get special teams, right? Right. But the power play in this game is 2 for 4. The penalty kill is 3 for 3. So a
Yep.
great bounce back game from special teams, and UPL stops 37 for 38 for a 974 save percentage. So that's where I think you're seeing that. Whereas Lindy can kind of rally the troops, and I think the lineup adjustments helped in this game. But Don was not able to do that enough last year, and these boys responded to Lindy in this game that was needed, and then the next couple of games as well.
I agree, man. Like Lindy's influence is being seen like so far. Like it took a little bit, and I've had some people talking to me saying, Lindy's not a good coach. Like, why do
Yeah,
we hire
Colin.
him? Blah blah blah. Shout out Colin. But yeah, and look at what's happening in the last. Even this Detroit game that we lost. Like they played. I feel like their defensive metrics, like they're playing so well at 5-on-5, and the reason we're pretty much like losing these games is the power play. But this past week, it's kind of like turning a little bit. Like they're finally getting goals, and the penalty kill too. The penalty kill, UPL is their most important penalty killer when he's playing. And I gotta say, dude, I was like, holy shit, like this guy, like he was a 1 year wonder, all this stuff. He's been really, really good the
hmm
last like maybe week and a half.
hmm Yeah, UPL's been playing better. The system seems to be working. It's the strong forechecking, the turning defense to offense. Getting the pucks in and not worrying about the offense, trusting it to come. That system that as the players get more comfortable with it, then they'll continue to buy in more and more. But it looks like they have. You talk about a game where they were able to turn the defense into offense and really frustrated the other team all night with the forechecking, and that was this Rangers game. The next game we'll talk about here where they won 6-1. Every single Sabres forward has a point in this game. I think they were all +1 on the night. And Igor Shesterkin gets chased from the game after allowing 5 goals on the first 12 shots. We get the same lineup and the same scratches as well. So Lindy scratches Yoki Haru and Samuelson in back-to-back games, and then NAK is also on the bench as well, which I know was injury for him for a little bit, but he'll work his way back eventually. But the big news here is Samuelson, Yoki Haru benched again. Another good game from the kid line, but thoughts on the Rangers game here? A 6-1 win in the Garden.
I was not feeling great about this game, like going into it. But man, they were really, really good this game. Like I you kind of just felt like I think I said this to you or someone else. I'm not sure. Maybe I posted it on Twitter or something. But as soon as that first shot by Dahlin goes through Shesterkin's 5 hole, awful goal to let in from Shesterkin, you kind of just felt like, okay, it might be our night tonight, and it kind of was, man. Like we really poured it on, and it should have been 6 goals allowed by Shesterkin because Paterka absolutely sniped top corner from like the goal line, and it ended up being called back on an offside that
Oh yeah,
happened
that's
like
right. That's right.
45 seconds earlier. Like dumb rule, dumb. I mean, I get the offside challenge, like whatever, it's there for a reason. There should be some kind of like time increment where like if a play happens like 30 seconds before a goal goes in and we were just like pounding them. Like they couldn't get the puck out. We were cycling, and then JJ comes over and just you know roofs one past Shesterkin's ear. Like that goal should have stood based on cool factor alone, and I was mad that we got robbed of that.
Yeah, this is a game where I don't know. I was kind of hoping Levi was going to get the game. I was on. I know last show I kind of talked about how I was kind of thinking that they would do what they did, kind of give Levi the first game of the back to back, which was the Islanders game, and then let UPL kind of ride the next like little bit, and that's what they did. They gave him like the next four here, and UPL has played good in response to that. But I just remember like Levi's had some good games in the Garden, and he's played good against Rangers. So I was thinking this might have been a game that he got, but they end up going with UPL and he plays good. But if you look at in the game previews I've been posting, like the statistics all lined up for the Rangers. Like the Rangers going into this game where like giving up like scoring 4 goals a game, giving up 2 goals a game, just an elite power play. I think they were at like 28%. Their penalty kill was at like 90%. Like comparing their numbers going into this game versus the Sabres, it wasn't even close. And then you add Shesterkin on top of that and the way that he's been playing. The headlines after this game were crazy from out of the Rangers, because the Rangers, if you ask Rangers fans, they kind of knew this was coming to a degree, maybe not against Buffalo, but their team hasn't been playing as good as the record's been showing because Shesterkin has been saving them, and maybe the Sabres expose them, a little bit for that. But again, the power play is 1 for 4, so we get another power play goal, and the penalty kill is 4 for 4 in this game. We're also 52% on faceoffs, so a lot of things went right in this game here, and you could tell that we frustrated the Rangers all night. They couldn't gain any momentum.
No, and it was so nice to see Cousins and Quinn be involved. That goal by Cousins was a beautiful goal. Um, he takes the puck from like the left side and cuts in and just beats Shesterkin clean far side, and you love to see that, man. Like this guy, we've been all over him all year so far, the first 12 games, and it kind of low key looks like he's played his way out of it. Like he is doing the right things. He's carrying the puck more with confidence. He's hitting people, just being that pain in the ass that like he was his rookie year, and it's nice to see. And if that second line that gets really going with Zach Benson and Jack Quinn, we could be scary, dude. Like we could be
Hmm.
pretty scary. We got to talk
Hmm.
about Zach Benson. I really think
The
this
Goblin,
team,
the
this
Goblin.
team, he is the straw that stirs the Sabres drink every single night. It's
Yeah. Oh
insane
yeah.
how good he is, man. And he's just a teenager still.
Yeah. Yeah. He's so good. So the thing that and this Benson being back has pretty much sent Cooley back down to the AHL.
Yep.
He could come back next season, but we can mention that real quick here. That's always something that the Sabres could look to in the future if they need another guy to come up, and Cooley's scored 2 power play goals since he's been down there. He's
Yeah,
got
he's
2 goals
been
in 2 games.
he's been toying with the AHL. What would be nice if we had a way to watch the Rochester games that didn't cost us a mortgage,
I know Flow Hockey TV,
because
really sucks.
that team is really really fun. They're
Yeah.
annihilating teams down there on the farm. Like we maybe later in the year we should head down for a game there because they are just
Oh,
pummeling
we're
teams.
gonna go to well, probably going to the Teddy Bear Toss.
Oh yeah, yeah, we should do that. That's fun.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I, we'll get into a broader discussion about Cooley because I have
Yeah.
some thoughts about the roster construction after we get through the games.
Yeah, I was going to talk about Benson real quick because you mentioned him.
Yep.
The Benson, yeah, the Goblin man. I was so excited when he came back because he is just so good, man. I mean, he is the guy where if he can find, I mean, he had like 10 goals last year, whatever it was, like 21 assists. I know we got to 30 points. I think he was like 10 and 21, but he's a guy where how many goals did he get robbed of last year? Probably like five or
Yep.
six. He had some shitty scores though too. I think he's going to be a good goal scorer in the NHL. He might not be like a 35, 40, goal scorer guy. I mean, who knows? He could be, but if he can give you a 20-25 this year, that's much needed because we're probably not going to get the goals going from Quinn this year that we're thinking. that we were going to get. I mean, I think at the beginning of the season we both pegged him for 25, which he's probably not going to hit with a slow start, but he could maybe turn it around. It's looked a little bit better. But Benson, the Goblin man, he his presence makes that line legitimate. And that's the difference between him and Kulik right now. Like Kulik, we're like we like and I think he's ready, but like you insert Benson on that line and it immediately becomes an NHL second line. He makes Cousins better. Puck possession, just everything. I mean his effort, the puck possession, the way he can retain things. I mean the forechecking, it's just he every little thing that you want him to do he does good and he elevates his line like we said last year when he was a rookie. He literally makes the rest of his line mates better wherever Don put him. He made that line better. And he's 19 years old. And with him in there, you have a great top six right there. If he's going to elevate that second line.
Yeah, dude, I agree. Like the thing that's fascinating about him is like the puck protection is so good.
Oh,
Like
it's so good.
you think for like a littler player and he's not like the weight isn't up yet. He's not even 20 years old. You think
It
he'd be
doesn't
getting
matter.
pushed around. You think he'd be getting pushed around. He does not get pushed around, man. Like he will stick his ass out and he will protect the puck like incredibly. And then he always finds like an open man. He's always in the right spot. Like I can't believe how good he is already. And like you said, he makes Dylan Cousins better, and he's making Jack Quinn a little bit better lately. And it is really nice to feel like the Sabres have like a legitimate, top six is that can compete every single night with every team.
Yeah, absolutely. And he scores in back to back games. We'll go on to Calgary here. One last thing I want to touch on before we get away from the Rangers and go on to Calgary, something to look for was we played the Rangers again on December 11th, and that's a nationally televised game on TNT. And I wouldn't be surprised if I forget who he hit, but there was kind of a cheap shot from Kreider in this game. On it might have been
It was
Benson or
Clifton.
something.
Clifton,
I
maybe I think
I
from
forget who it
behind.
was, but yeah,
Yep.
Kreider had like a cheap boarding call, and it didn't really get addressed in this game. I wouldn't be surprised if, and this game's at home, so this might be a good game for the Sabrehood to get some tickets to because that's if the Sabres keep playing good, that's going to be a good matchup on national TV, and you could see some fireworks if they decide that they're going to address that Kreider hit. And I'm not saying it's going to happen, but just something to maybe look forward to.
Yeah, I agree. That was a scumbag hit by Kreider, and like he hit him right in the numbers. I'm pretty sure it was Clifton. I could be wrong, but yeah, like dude, hitting someone in the numbers is just so goddamn dangerous and reckless. And he he's another one where stuff goes wrong and he just starts doing dumb shit out there.
Well, let's get into Calgary here. Calgary
All right.
was the latest game, a 3-2 win in overtime. You were actually at this game.
Yours truly was
So why
there.
don't I'll let you take the lead since you were there.
We scored 2 minutes in. Oh, okay, first, hold on. First of all, this is my first time in the building. Oh my God. Like the scoreboard is so cool.
And you sat low enough to
It's
see the TVs underneath too, right?
Yeah, it was
Were
cool.
those
It's
cool?
very yeah, it's a great setup. They did really well. That Jeff Skinner money is really making Pagula proud because that jumbotron is was worth every penny. It's very cool. But so the game. So we come out, beautiful jersey matchup. Probably the most beautiful jersey matchup in the entire league. Calgary has some fire jerseys. Ha! Literally, because they're the Flames. And we come out 2 minutes in, we start cycling, we're going crazy on offense, and then boom, Zach Benson scores on a rebound. And you know who gets the puck through? Jacob Bryson. This guy, we got to give him his flowers too. He is playing
We
so
love
well.
Bryson over here.
He's playing so well with Owen Power, and Owen Power had kind of a stinker third period, but I thought Bryson was really effective through the whole game. He gets his shot through.
He
Like
gets a shot through.
we're always mad about Yoki Haru like bombing pucks off shin pads. Bryson doesn't do that. If he doesn't have a shot, he's recycling it in the corner
Yep.
or
Yep.
he making a good pass. He's got nice offensive instincts, and it's again, dude. It's just another player in the lineup that's playing well, and it's nice to see. But yeah, Pat Benson buries a rebound, and we were kind of off and running for the first half of the game. I feel like we kind of took it to him the first half of the game, and it was kind of a slog a little bit. Like I think at one point in the second period, shots were like 11-6 for us. Like nothing was really happening, and we were locking it down like real well. And then again, like the Detroit game. it kind of like started slipping away from us. Like penalties were being called. We were going on the penalty kill a lot. Dennis Gilbert had a stinker. I think Dennis Gilbert's coming out of the lineup on tomorrow, Monday, and Samuelson is going to go back in. But besides that, dude, they found a way in the end, and that's a game that a traditional Sabres team blows and loses.
Yeah, it was the same lineup again. So you had scratches for Samuelson, scratches on Yoki Haru, and then NAK. And you're right, man. This team has not had issues this year getting out to hot starts. They actually scored the first goal in all 5 of these games that we've
Yep.
just talked about, and they've had some really quick goals. This was the first game where of the week I felt like intensity and the game didn't really get away from us against Ottawa or the Rangers. I feel like we kind of controlled most of those games. This game here, about halfway through, the ice kind of shifted and the momentum kind of shifted. I felt like we owned the first half of this game, but then the Flames kind of owned the second half of the game. But again, it was the same lineup, and I think there was a little bit more like defensive woes in this game. I think Owen Power struggled a lot in this game.
Owen Power. So I was with my buddy, and it was so funny. In the third period, every time Owen touched the puck, my friend was like, "Oh my god, please get rid of the puck! Oh my god,
Yeah,
please get rid of the puck!" Like he was handling it like it was a grenade, dude. It was so bad. Like it was noticeable too. And even like in between whistles, you could see his body language was like, "Holy fuck! Like I cannot handle the puck right now." Like this, he was definitely fighting it, and he knew it.
yeah,
So I felt real bad. But dude, we got really fucked on the first goal. Do you mean the first goal that Calgary scored?
yeah.
So Gilbert is in center ice, and he kind of gets tangled up with a flame, and they start like jawing at each other, and then they kind of embrace, and the ref in
Embrace.
up the how else am I supposed to say? So
Just hugging at center ice.
the ref in the offensive zone puts his arm up and ends up calling incidental penalties. So like the play should have been blown dead, and Calgary goes down and scores. And I think like the Sabres might have thought that the whistle was going to blow because he puts his freaking arm up, doesn't blow the whistle, and then the puck's in the back of our net. But how can you call incidental penalties and not blow the play dead until the puck is in the back of the net? Like that really pissed the crowd off. Like that was not great officiating in my opinion, and it really cost us.
Yeah, it was a weird play. It was a weird play, and you're right. I think I do think the Sabres were anticipating maybe whistle. I think maybe Bryson was the next defender there, and he was kind of like in on the defender, and then he gets beat, and then it's a 2-on-1, and
Yep.
Calgary actually made like a nice play, just like
Yeah,
a
it was a nice
quick.
play.
Yeah, it was a nice play by them, but and when you watch the replay, and I was telling you after the game, like I think on the replay, the whistle is definitely after the goal, but like you're saying, it should have been whistled, like blown dead immediately.
Right, like if he had intentions of blowing the whistle, like blow the whistle.
Yeah, yeah, it was a very strange play, but the Sabres end up
Yeah.
getting the win in overtime, and
No,
it
shootout.
goes to the shootout. Yeah, so it
Yep.
goes to the yeah, so not in overtime, but in the shootout there, and uh, Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen, Ukko-Pekka Lakanen, as we like to call
Yeah.
him here over
Okay.
at Sabres
I gotta
Spotlight.
say, we can't say it anymore because every time we say it, we curse him. So I'm putting a ban. I'm putting a self-imposed ban on Ukko-Pekka Lakanen until further
Dude,
notice.
no way. Get out of here. I'm still saying it. That's
If he
his
like,
nickname.
all right, I'll let you say it, but I'm not saying it because I feel like every time we start to give him nicknames and stuff, he just implodes and allows like 45 shorthanded or short side goals.
I think he's gonna get a night off the next game, anyways. We'll see. I mean, they could roll him out again, but
I don't,
I
dude. I think they're just gonna roll him out. I think he's just there. This is why. Okay, we gotta have another discussion when we're done with this game
all
because I
right,
have a
yeah.
point to make
Let's.
about
Well, we're gonna
goaltending.
we're gonna get into goaltending. We'll go more global after this. Let's finish this up real quick, and then we can talk about that. But yeah, not much else to say here. Penalty kill goes 3 for 3. Power play is 1 for 2. So we're starting to
Tage
get it
bomb.
clicking on the
Tage
power
bomb.
play. Yeah, absolutely. Tage bomb rips home his 10th goal of the season already on the power play goal there. Faceoffs are
Is
60%. Another strong night from UPL, and Byram records 32 plus minutes of time on
Yeah,
ice.
that was
He's
insane. I feel every time I looked up, Byram was on the ice. It was nuts.
Yeah, yeah. He was just on the ice for an insane amount of time. He just skated a marathon out there. But okay.
So I have a question for you. Is Tage Thompson on your Team USA roster for the Global Series or for the Four Nation Faceoff?
I mean, I would say yeah, but I don't know. Like, I don't know what that roster is going to look like. So you're
Dude,
more of the hockey expert. So you tell me.
he has to be. He has to be. Can you imagine? Can you imagine Tage centering both Kachucks?
Yeah, that'd be insane. That's gonna be so. That's gonna be so cool because, like I said, you're finally getting that best on best.
Yeah, and I mean it's only 14. It's only Canada, USA, Sweden, and Finland, but still, dude, like the Team USA might has like a stacked roster, and the way Tage has been playing, like on both ends of the ice and scoring goals and looking healthy and like just dominating the puck at all times, he's got to be a lock. He has to be a lock at this point.
Yeah.
And Elliot Friedman did say that rosters are being announced on December 4th.
Okay. All right. Nice. I mean, the thing with Tage is like there was a question coming into the season, not necessarily from us, but I think from a lot of the national media is the big question was okay, we saw the big year 2 years ago. Last year was kind of a down year. Is Tage more that guy, or is he more the guy that exploded from a couple years ago? And I think early on in the season, you pretty much have your answer right there.
Yep.
Like he is that dude, and he's playing really good. And it's not just the offense. The offense is there, but he's becoming more well rounded. The thing I like about it, and I actually saw it in this game here, it was late in the third period, and Calgary was starting to take momentum. They had tied it, and they had been again kind of running the game for a little bit. And they showed Tage on the bench, and he's like, he's looking down the bench and he's getting his guys riled up. Like I just think he's just feeling comfortable with his spot on the team. He's producing, which is important for him and his confidence, but he's producing because he's healthy and he's again, I just really appreciate where he's at right now, game wise, but also what he's doing for this team from a leadership standpoint. There's been a lot of maturity there, I think.
Yeah, great shout. I agree.
All right. So that pretty much wraps up the games here. So a nice little bounce back for the Sabres after being, like we said, 4-7-1. They're currently I'll do standings recap real quick and then we can go into the discussion. So the Sabres are currently 7-7-1 through 15 games. So that's a 500 point percentage. Last time we recorded a couple weeks ago, they were at 450. So they're up a little bit from where they were when we previously talked. And standing wise, they are currently fifth in the Atlantic, but basically tied with Tampa at 15 points. And if you look at the wild card, they're actually tied right now for the final wild card spot at the time of this recording with Tampa Bay and the New York Islanders at with 15 points. So who would have thought?
Well, dude,
Tampa
especially
does
after,
have one game in hand on them right now, but still.
especially with like the slow start we had, like those games in Prague, and then coming back and losing to LA, and you just had bad vibes, and I feel like they kind of are starting to give us a glimmer of hope that we can turn it around and contend for the playoffs this year. And it's early, obviously, not even at Thanksgiving yet, but I like the way things are looking right now.
It's nice to see them be a little bit resilient. I mean, what where we were at one point we were 1-4-1, thinking the
Yep,
season's over. They win three in a row and again get back to 500, and then they're 4-7-1, and then again win three in a row to get back to 7-7-1. Two win streaks of three games, something that I'm pretty sure they only did twice all of last season. And like we mentioned
yep,
last show,
and it,
not for the first time since, or the first time last season they won three games was like late February.
yep,
So that resiliency is nice to see from this early team. And that helps going through that early on in the season.
yeah, I agree, and I feel like having Lindy in the locker room to guide them and be like, listen, like I've seen a lot of stuff, like I've seen a lot, I've seen teams win, I've seen teams lose, I've been there, and I just feel like having that like not only like a mentor, but like a guy with like experience. Like last year with Don, he didn't have experience. He didn't really know the league all that well. Like he was only in the NHL for a couple years, and Lindy's been doing the Lindy's been in the National Hockey League as a player and a coach for like 50 years, 50 years now. Like he skated as a teenager for the Sabres. So he has just been around for a long time, man. He's seen it all, and I feel like they're really feeding off that right now.
Well, let's start there as we get into some more of our discussion points, because the one of the big things coming into the season was obviously Lindy being back and the focus on accountability from
Yep.
the players and from the coaching staff. And I think you're seeing that already, which is good. Before this winning streak of 3 games, there were some questions out there about the accountability. And Lindy, he said in his press conferences, I basically that he didn't want to do too much too soon. And he gave the quote of, I've been more patient with this team than I've been with some of my other teams. And I think that was perhaps a smart move early on. You want to start hot, but I think there's also consequences to coming in and just guns blazing. Like that can there can be blowback there and some resentment. Again, these are young players and things, so you still have to know how to kind of tread with some of your new team and get a read on the locker room. And so I think there was a little bit of a pushback from him to want to do anything drastic too early on, and again be a little patient with some of these guys. But then you see him when they're 4-7-1 seemingly pull the right strings and make the right moves with Bryson and Gilbert going in and Yoki Haru and Samuelson coming out. And what's even better is that Bryson and Gilbert go in and play well, which is important for
Yep.
keeping these guys accountable, because you kept these guys out of the game for 3 games and someone else is playing good in their spot, which makes your message all the more strong. So, what do you think about, again, the accountability between the players? What do you just seeing it, not seeing it, like what you're seeing?
Well, it kind of like annoyed me a little bit before these scratches started happening because I guess in an NHL coach's mind, like 10 games is probably not a lot, but for us as fans, it's an eighth of the season. And with how Samuelson and Quinn and Cousins and Yoki Haru were playing and getting these long leashes, it was like, okay, dude, like where is the accountability that we talked about like all summer? And then, Quinn started getting, Quinn sat for a game and Cousins got his minutes reduced. And then now you see Samuelson and Yoki sitting for 3 consecutive games, like you said. And I feel like the locker room has to see that and be like, okay, if I don't play well, I might not get back in the lineup or I might not get the minutes that I thought that I was going to get. And this goes back to me saying that I think that tomorrow Samuelson draws in over Gilbert simply because
I
Gilbert,
agree there.
he kind of had a bozo game, and it won't hurt to get Samuelson back in the lineup because of the potential is there. Like he's always had like the potential to be a good shutdown defenseman, and he had media this week. I don't remember which reporter sat him down and had a discussion, but he said like, yeah, dude, like I know I was playing like terribly, and I see these guys drawing in the lineup and playing well, and when I get my chance, I want to make the most of it and basically just stop being a bozo. So I'm excited to see him draw back in the lineup because he's still a young guy and he doesn't have a lot of games under his belt. Like when we gave him that contract, he had under 50 games played, and he's just kind of always hurt. So hopefully, if he draws back in, he can solidify that bottom pair even more, and then we're off and running, kind of.
Yeah, I am with you. I do think he's going to be back in next game in spot of Gilbert there. I want to bring this up, and I think that Lindy's, from now on, he's made it clear that he's going to hold these guys accountable. He's already said things in press conference, even after the last game against Calgary. Afterwards, he said he called out. He didn't name names, but he said, yeah, a couple of our defensemen, struggled tonight, and that's was seemingly aimed at Gilbert and Power. So like he knows right away who's doing good, who's not doing good, and he's going to call you out just like he did with the goaltending, and then
Yep.
UPL seemed to respond to that. So I think accountability will be better this year, and especially because the players seem to be keeping themselves accountable too. So hopefully that's something that we continue to see. I wanted to see your thoughts on Samuelson, because Matt Fairburn and Chris Baker brought this up on their show this week, and I thought that it was really interesting. They brought up the fact of, do you think Samuelson has been wanting to stay healthy and maybe kind of dialing back a little bit with some things?
I don't know because it's not like the physical play that's putting him in positions to hurt the team. It's the terrible passing. Like he's been passing to the other team. Like let's call it what it is. He has literally been putting the puck on a silver platter for other teams to score goals, and I don't even have an issue with him defensively or along the walls. He's using his body. He's blocking shots. It's just he's not like moving the puck sufficiently, and it's costing them. It felt like every mistake he's making is ending up in the back of the net. Like even like some dumb stuff happens where like he's back checking and just like completely misses his man. Like that's kind of unacceptable for the role that he's in.
Yeah, I guess it just comes down to like if we think he's good. Like I don't know the
Right.
answer to
That's
that.
it.
Like I
That's it.
I
I don't either.
I just don't know. Like I can't definitively say right now is he like a good like NHL player? Like can he be a third line defenseman? Like I think so, but honestly, I don't know. I think he got his contract too early, and also I'm just like I don't know. I mean, yeah, he's shown the ability to like block shots, but then I'm also like he's just a confusing player to me. Like what does he provide us? Like he's not like super physical. It's not like he's like
No.
a great puck moving defenseman, and like he seems to make these like mental mistakes. So I don't know like what his value is.
You know what though? He's the kind of guy that like dumb NHL GMs will covet. Like he's only being paid like $4.5 million for the next like what 6 seasons. Like it's not a lot of money, especially with the cap going up. And I just feel like with his skill set, he's big, he's got a long reach. I definitely feel like he has some value. Like if the Sabres, if he stops, like if he keeps this up and like doesn't play well, and we want to move him, I don't think he's a nothing asset.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
dude, so here's another thing. Let's talk into moves. Have you seen Elliot Friedman's comments about Kevin Adams being active in the trade market?
I don't believe it.
What do you mean? You said psh, you said no. Like come on, what?
I don't believe
Give
it.
me
Dude,
what?
I don't
Okay,
still believe it.
why not? Like elaborate here, because I thought we're gonna go in a different direction.
Because I don't think Adams can get anything done. Honestly, I mean,
Okay,
I give him credit for the McLeod move. That's fine, but I just don't think. I think Adams has severe limitations as a general manager. And I've said this before on this show. I don't think he's like viewed around the league as like a serious NHL GM. He kind of got the job like by default,
yeah.
and I just with him again, it's like he hasn't won many trades, and he brought like Zucker. You could say is a win right now. I'm
We
fine
didn't
with
even
that,
touch on him. We didn't even touch on
and
him.
yeah,
What a signing!
and the revamped fourth line is like fine, but like again, like those are kind of no brainers, and like anyone can make those moves. Like any GM could make those moves. Like it's not like you're some mastermind because you signed like Ollie Cabell and you got Beck Malin signed for a second round pick and like revamped your fourth line. Like McLeod, like whatever. But like I just look at like his resume over the last 5 years, and I'm like, it's just so limited, and he's just proven time and time again that he just can't really get things done. So I see these things all the time. How much did we see it last year? Like, oh, Kevin Adams is looking to get a deal done, and like
Well, you know what we
nothing
did last
happens.
year. That stuff was in the rumor mill, and then we traded a seventh for Eric Robinson.
Yeah, there you go.
But okay, so I have a different take on this because I think that this team doesn't have a spot on its roster for Henry Jokiharju anymore. And I wonder if they find a team to take him and package one of our prospects for an upgrade on him. Because I was actually
And why couldn't
convinced.
you do this over the summer? Why'd you even sign
I
him?
get it.
We shouldn't
I
even have
know.
signed him.
I know. I know. And this was said by literally every fan base. Well, the Sabres have $7 million in cap space. You know this. Like this should not have been like this shouldn't even be a discussion right now. Like this is definitely unfinished business from the summer, and it is frustrating. But for me, the eternal optimist, I'm also like, okay, like let's see what we can do here. because I definitely think like some things about our organization are interesting at this moment because Roseanne, although he's playing very, very well in Rochester, I kind of think like his skill set is entirely redundant for the whole organization. Benson is past him. Kulik is getting NHL minutes, and he's 2 or 3 years younger than him. Victor Wahlberg, totally different player. He's probably our best prospect. And Victor Neuchev, dude, Victor Neuchev is doing some freaky stuff in Rochester. Like he is playing unreal. Like he might have surpassed Roseanne on like our prospect lists, like rankings, at least for like who's on track to be on our team, because he's a really good player. So if you can kind of
Yeah.
take Ryoki Haru and Roseanne or Neuchev or just not Wahlberg, that's my guy. You can't trade Wahlberg. They do that, I'm disowning the team. Um, and get like another defenseman, someone that can play, you know, with own power if they want to move Byram eventually, or with Darlene if they want to move Byram, or with power if they want to put Bryson on the third pair. We'd have an unbelievable like defense core. Like get me a real defenseman. Like stop putting, I like Dennis Gilbert. He can't play every game. I like Connor Clifton. He's kind of a bozo sometimes, and you can't put Henry Yokigaru in the lineup anymore. So package a player, package a prospect, and go out and get someone.
Who are you targeting right now?
It's so hard to say. Like
Philly.
names, Philly,
I mean,
Philly, uh, Anaheim, maybe.
Nashville.
Dude, Nashville's in last.
I
Did you see?
know.
Do you see Barry Trotz's comments?
No.
He said they keep this up and we're gonna sell people off. He said they keep this up and we're doing
Barry
rebuild.
Trotz, dude. He
Like what a
is.
savage!
He's what we need in Buffalo, man.
Like go sign all these fucking players and have the Sabres Spotlight podcast, up your ass for the whole summer, and then you start selling players off. Like that would be unreal. So they did waive. I was actually kind of convinced we were going to make this move, but he got claimed by Columbus and they're ahead of us in the waivers. But they waived Dante Fabro and he's a right shot D and he's better than Henry Yokiharu. So it's kind of I kind of thought like, hey, maybe we put in a claim here and do something different. But he got claimed by Columbus, so that point is moot. But if Elliot Friedman isn't just like holding water for the Sabres here, and Adams is really trying to make a move, I'm kind of in love with our forwards, and I don't want to make a move there. But on defense, man, if you can get like,
No, because you got Kulik too
yeah,
as a guy to call up.
yep, and Albe Cabell's been sitting, and he's good for some fourth line shifts. But if they can find a defensive upgrade, I don't want to say this, but like, what's our weaknesses?
I mean, I'll be skeptical about it. Like I said, until it happens. And when I did the burning questions episode a while back, coming into this season, that was one thing I talked about was the remaining cap space and are we going to see it? And I kind of talked about how at the beginning of the season, not everything needs to be finalized, but Adams has to see if there's things that need to be done, then you have to go and do it. And I think you're seeing that now. I think that was always going to be the case because you didn't address everything that you needed to in the offseason. So you are going to have to make these moves. And if you're again, there's advantages and advantages to that. The disadvantage now is like you got to try and make things work, but the advantages you're kind of seeing what things are looking like under rough, and you can kind of go and get the player that you need to get to address the weaknesses. So we'll see what he does. I'm just going to remain skeptical until it happens.
I get it. I understand.
But I did see that report, and everyone's talking about it. I'm just kind of eye rolling the whole time. But I hope I'm wrong.
uh,
But I hope I'm wrong.
uh, do you want to talk goaltending for a second?
Definitely.
Okay, so our good buddy James Reimer, you know how he's out in Anaheim. Was on the Sabres for 2 games and then waived and claimed by Anaheim. Well, John Gibson is back for Anaheim, meaning they have 3 goalies on their roster. So they do have the cap space to hold 3 goalies. But if they claim James Reimer, I think I think we have the right to claim him first, since he was on our NHL roster
Hmm.
when the season started. If that happens and he gets put back on waivers, I need the Sabres to claim him and him to be our backup goalie and to send Devin Levi back to Rochester.
So that's what you want.
Yep.
Okay, that is not what I want.
Really? Okay. You want Levi to get games in the NHL, huh?
It just comes down to, and I had this talk on Twitter. Actually, I think with Colin. Colin's been on a roll lately, dude. Shout out
Yeah.
Colin again,
He's
dude. He's
always in
just,
our replies. Keep firing him off.
I love it. I love it. But we were talking about this a little bit, and it's something you think about because that is an option. But I don't know. It just depends on what you think is better for Levi. You know, and the thing is like you think you can see the plan that they're gonna pay or play UPL more than Levi, and it seems to be kind of like this 4-to-1 ratio right now in games, which I
Yep.
think is fine. If you keep doing that all season, Levi's probably getting about 20 games. My whole thing is like this: is like it's important for Levi to get pucks and stay in system. What Colin had brought up was like he kind of brought up the is he a hockey player, Colin? Is he play
Maybe
hockey or no?
no, he doesn't now, but maybe back in the day he did.
Okay, well he seems to know puck either way. But
He does.
anyways,
He does know puck. He does know
okay.
puck.
Anyway, so he brought up the whole point of just like is what's goalies can be kind of like they're kind of like mad sometimes. We're like
Yeah, they're weird. They're a weird breed.
exactly weird's the word I was looking for. We're like you want to try and stay in rhythm, but also like if you're not getting like games, like where the mental's at and things like that. And so I understand that side of things and wanting him to have games. Again, I think it just comes down to like what do you think is best for him? Like if he's gonna at the floor get like 20 games this year with the Sabres, but then somewhere along the road there, a couple times throughout the season, he gets hot and like plays his own stretches of like 3 or 4 games. Like he could realistically play like I don't know 24 to 26 games this year, like with the Sabres, and is that like more valuable than like 50 games like in Rochester? Like I kind of think that is. So like that's where I'm like I think I'd just rather have that. And I understand the sentiment of like not wanting to like mess around and like this is the game, this is the year where you got to like win and get to the playoffs. But like I think they can do that with Levi as the backup. I don't think it has to be Reimer. That's just where I'm at. But
Yeah, I mean, I think both of these takes are entirely fine. Like, I don't think either of us are wrong. And I would be ecstatic to see Devin Levi, turn it around, but I just have not really liked his game this season. And that's the only reason why I think that might be like a possibility. But like you said, it's also the possibility that he plays himself out of it and, is the Devin Levi that he was when he, came in for that 7 game stint after college.
yeah, yeah, yeah. All right, sounds
The
good.
only
You
the only other reason I brought that up is because did you see what happened in Rochester 2 days ago with
yeah,
Felix Sandstrom?
yeah.
So what a dumb play that was. What a
Talk about
dumb.
a goofball of the week.
Oh yeah, Ben Harper, you're our
Yeah.
goofball of the week today. Like, dude. So for people that didn't see it, because Flow Hockey costs $600. Uh, Felix Sandstrom, the Rochester Americans were demolishing. I think it was the Hartford Wolfpack. Is that who they were playing? I'm not sure. But he literally just skated at Sandstrom and shouldered him, like right in the chest. And he hits his head on the crossbar, and he's hurt now. Like he literally targeted our goalie and hurt him in a 6-1 game. And he did it was Hartford because Rempe was on the ice, and that's the Rangers affiliate. So Rempe's on the ice, Ben Harper's on the ice, all of our children are on the ice, and he goes and does this. Who is it? Who? Yeah, I saw people like complaining that we didn't address that. Who's addressing that? You want 5'9" Victor Neuchev to get his belt rung by Matt Rempe? Like it's not happening.
Ruppy's been
Komarov,
fighting like heavyweights in the NHL.
yeah, like it's not happening. Like Komarov tried to get at Harper after it happened, and because obviously he's a big boy, but like the refs kind of like put an end to that, and now we have one goalie in Rochester, Michael Hauser, and whoever they called up from the East Coast League. So if Reimer goes on waivers, I kind of think it's almost like an organizational necessity to send Devin Levi down, like at least temporarily. I'm not sure, but that shit was insane. Like I don't think I've ever seen a player just like barrel into a goalie, and hockey is so dumb, and these leagues are so dumb. He only got a 4-game suspension for it.
Yeah. So I mean, you could see that if it needs to happen, but you saw the context behind that, right?
Yeah,
Like why he did it.
he like kind of got tripped and it ended the season. Like it wasn't intentional. It just
No,
Sandstrom stuck his stick out and tried to poke the puck a couple of years ago, maybe last year, and he scored. He like kind of tripped over his stick and flew into the boards. And if you're carrying that into the next season,
I know. Like who are you,
and
dude?
like,
Like
come on, dude, like you're not even a guy.
yeah.
Like
Like do you think you're
you're
like some like blue chip prospect? Like come on.
like you've had like you're a terrible hockey player. Like
Yeah.
yeah, like man, I can't believe that happened. I was like so shocked. But
You
dude,
know
that
what needs
sucked.
to happen here now. Next time we play them, if we do, if Rochester plays them again, just let Wahlberg get a little close to the goal one
Yeah.
time and give their goalie a little poke in the
They
ribs or
almost
something.
have to. I feel like it's almost a necessity. Like that that's
Yeah,
wild.
it'd
I
have to be
think
one of our big guys, so it'd have to
well,
be what
dude,
Wahlberg
so
or Kisakov.
yeah, but they got Josh Dunn, man. Josh Dunn, he throws knucks. So if he's on the ice, something's gonna have to happen. But I just
Yeah.
especially in the AHL, like that stuff is so much more rampant. Like that's a jungle down there. Like you mess around, like next game you should kind of expect retribution. So if they do have that team on their schedule, you kind of got to think that something might happen.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. All right, let's we got a couple other things we can talk about here before we close things out. Let's move into special teams real quick because the power play has been slowly kind of ramping up. So the power play is now up to 15.5% on the season. And just to compare, the league average is 20.69%. So you're only about 5 points off from league average. And just to give you some comparison numbers, the Sabres are 7 of 45 on the season in terms of the power play, and league average would be two more goals, a 9 for 45 power play. So some of these good power plays that they've had that they just haven't been able to find the back of the net, you almost feel like they could easily kind of be at that league average number. But either way, it's encouraging to see the power play kind of picking up a little bit here now, and the penalty kill has been coming along as well. Still not league average as well. They're still just below at 77.5 on the season. The league average is 79.31. But through this 3 game win streak, they have killed their last 10 penalties over the last week. So the special teams has seemingly been picking up. Anything that you're seeing different there, want to comment on as we look to the next stretch of games here?
The penalty kill, it's so noticeable that they kind of like altered their strategy a little bit. Like they were being ultra aggressive, early on in the season, like really trying to convert like to offense, and it was really burning them a little bit, kind of leaving UPL out to dry or whoever was in net. But now they're like being a little bit more pragmatic and getting in shot lanes, putting sticks in lanes, and really only going for offense when it's obvious. And I feel like the guys on our team, like Greenway is a great penalty killer, Benson's a great penalty killer, McLeod's a great penalty killer, Dahlin's a great penalty killer. Like we got guys on that can play on the penalty kill. And if UPL is going to keep playing the way he is, we can really like start bumping that average up like a little bit. Like I feel like they can be a better than average kill.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so too. UPL's been helpful there too because he's played good on the penalty kills for sure. But there's no denying that they had some big kills this week in these three
Yep.
games at opportune times where they needed to have it, and same thing with the power play. So good to see a response from the team again after something that Lindy kind of wanted to make sure that they addressed. I did want to talk about the strength of schedule here real quick because I think it's something that hasn't been brought up too much yet. And we're always looking at being
Yep.
optimistic here
We
on
are.
Sabres Spotlight, but the Sabres have had a decently hard schedule so far. So I think despite the ups and downs, being at 7-7-1 right now, like, isn't a horrible spot to be in. If you look at like who they played so far, you have the wonky start to the season over in Germany. So like take that for what you want to take it. But you had 2 games against the Devils there, who are currently leading the Metro. You played the Kings already at home, and they're leading the Pacific. You had 2 games against the Florida Panthers, who are obviously the Stanley Cup um, champions and leading the Atlantic Division. So you have right there 5. 1/3 of your games are all right there are against team leading divisions, and then you also had games against Dallas and the Rangers. I know you won both of those games, but again, those are good opponents there. I think the Rangers are in second in the Metro, and I believe Dallas is second in the Pacific as well. So you're playing top tier teams. The only real easy games you've had so far has been Pittsburgh, who just looks like they're going to be, kind of whatever. And that was a game that was, again,
That was
we were
such a dumb
destined to
game.
lose that game.
It was dumb. It like
Yeah,
everything that happened against us, and I wish I would have known that it was like milestone night for Pittsburgh. You know,
yeah, yeah, because that was always going to go that way. But again, that's like a kind of an easy game. And then you had the games against Columbus, who Columbus has been playing better hockey and some inspired hockey, which is good to see over and out in Ohio. And then Chicago, which you won that game, and again a game where maybe you shouldn't have, but you got the win. And then you had some of these middle tier games against Detroit. We've both said that Detroit's not like a great team, but you played them twice. The Islanders, Ottawa, and Calgary. All teams that are playing pretty decent hockey. But I think this Sabres being where they are now, not bad for the schedule that they've had, and they have an easier stretch of games coming up that they can hopefully capitalize on getting into Thanksgiving.
yeah. So we got Montreal tomorrow at like 12:30. So you guys will listen to this probably after that game is over. But we got Montreal tomorrow 12:30. Then we play St. Louis, Philly, and then we go out west and play LA, Anaheim, and San Jose. Dude, I'm feeling a long win streak here. I'm feeling a 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And I'm feeling a 9 game win streak.
Oh baby, it's getting spicy here. It's getting spicy here. A Sabres spotlight. I don't know about
Uh,
9, but still, the point being that this is a stretch of games here that is you have some winnable hockey games, and if you go
yeah,
out and
that's
take
pretty much what I was saying.
if you go out and take care of the games that you should. I mean, hey, they had a 10-game win streak around this time,
They
you
did.
know,
They did.
whatever it was, 6 or 7 years ago,
You
So
know what's funny? I with one of those games we watched. It was at your Jack and Jill, and we won it in a shootout. And man, what great times that was! We were just buzzing after that. I
there we
don't.
go.
I remember it, man. I remember it.
There we go. So I mean, hey, we could be bringing that mojo back. Who knows? But let's give predictions here for this week coming up. So we got, like you said, Monday Montreal, Thursday at St. Louis, and then Saturday at Philly. What do you think the Sabres do this week? Are you gonna predict a 6-game winning streak right now?
You know, for the sake of being objective and not wanting to be too much of a homer, I'm gonna say the Sabres are going 3-0. Let's go.
Oh, it doesn't matter. Smashing the over on wins.
3-0. One of them in overtime. Tage in overtime. I don't know which one it's gonna be, but I'm feeling the mojo, dude. I'm feeling it. I feel really good about this team right now.
I mean, these are all winnable games. So, and the next two are still at home. I feel like we've had a lot of home games right now early on in the season. Um, man, it's just so hard to like sit here and say that they're going to get a win streak of 6 games, just because of the way hockey works, right? Like
I
eventually
know.
you're just going to kind of lose a game. All right, I'm gonna say that we win against Montreal, and I'll give us the home wins. I'll say we win against Montreal and we win to St. Louis. We get to 5 wins, and then maybe we have a down game at Philly and go
Okay.
go two and
Okay.
one. But
That's
either
fair.
way, I
That's
think the
more
Sabres.
objective than me.
But the more important thing is I think the Sabres are going to continue playing good hockey, and I think they're turning a corner here, and hopefully we see that a little bit more consistently. But I think that'll do it here, unless you got anything else here before we
No,
wrap it up.
I mean I don't. If the Sabres can be at, you know, uh 19 points from, 18 games here, or is my math correct? Something like that? Yeah, two more wins. So 19
Yeah,
points from 17 games.
yeah,
I don't think that's bad. That's a pretty damn good start based off like, coming like starting 0 and 3. So
yeah. That'll be
I would
around
take
like
it.
a 56 like point percentage, which
Yeah,
you want to
I
be
would
around
take it.
60%. So and again, we're a couple weeks away from that Thanksgiving date, so they want to be in a spot by the time. Nothing's guaranteed, but unless you're the Detroit Red Wings, you're usually making the playoffs if you're there by Thanksgiving. So that will be a goal for the Sabres here over the next couple of weeks. So you heard our predictions here, and if you're listening to the show, as always, follow us on our socials over on Twitter and X, Instagram. Give us a review, like, subscribe, review, tell your friends and family, and definitely tell your friends and family because this, we're having a good time over here at Sabres Spotlight, and we want to get some more listeners to the show. It's been growing, which is good. But if you're listening and you like what you're hearing, give us a shout out on socials, help us spread the word, and tell the friends and family. The reviews are big too. Reviews and ratings, help us, help people see us a little bit more. So
We're
do all
popping off
that.
over here. We're popping
Yes.
off.
So do all that, fun logistical stuff to help us out over at Saber Spotlight, and we'll be back, sometime within the
Eh,
next week or two.
You know what would help our brand?
What's that?
If we had a surprise guest within the next month.
I mean, hopefully,
We'll see.
we've got
We'll
some
see.
things in
That's
the
all you're
works.
getting.
We'll see.
That's all you guys are getting. But
We've
we'll see.
been we've been putting in the work there, and hopefully it happens. But we gotta have some guests this year, anyways.
I
There's really
agree.
no reason that we haven't, other than just like we just kind of been doing our own thing. But
Yeah.
we could definitely do that easily enough. But that's we'll see what happens. I don't want to put anything out into the universe until it happens. But we're working on something here, and hopefully it comes through for Sabres Spotlight here. But that's going to do it. As always, if you have questions, submit feedback to us at the Gmail account, and we will see everybody next week. And stay safe in the Sabrehood.
See ya.